Hi everyone. So welcome again to yet another episode of Marketing Demystified. We are coming back to you after a break. This is season 2 of Marketing Demystified, and as you are all aware, that the channel is all about bringing together marketeers of high repute, and we discuss different topics related to marketing. In this particular season, we are all focused on sectoral marketing. And today I have with me a very special guest, Anindya, and he is with Z Media. Before I ask Anindya to introduce himself, let me give a quick introduction of myself. I head marketing for Kangaroo Group, and I'm a marketeer with about 20 years of experience now. And it's a pleasure to bring all the marketing insights to you through this channel. Thank you. I'll request Anindya to introduce himself.
Thanks, Harpreet. Thanks for having me over here. And as Harpreet has already, talked about my current profile, that I head marketing at Z Media. So at Z Media, marketing is basically for our 18 linear news channel. When I say linear, primarily it means television news channels, and also about our 34 digital assets. And these digital assets include the websites, the apps, the social channels of Z Media. I've had a pretty decent experience working with various MNCs and even startups in my last 25 years of experience in marketing. Have been privileged to work with some of the top-notch brands like Shell, ExxonMobil, Vespa. So primarily my initial experience actually is largely with automobile or automobile related space. And I have also worked within marketing in various roles, right from a brand manager to a category manager to a route to market manager, taking care of product marketing in ExxonMobil, to media mandates for LiveGuard, which is a relatively new company when I joined them. So this is brief about me. Happy to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Anindya. And really a big thanks for taking time out on Sunday afternoon. So let's just start with the discussion. Now, since the episode is completely about sectoral marketing, I will start with sector specific questions. So, what is the structure of your marketing team, or what is the structure of a marketing team in a typical organization in your industry? Before that, I think it will be great to give maybe a brief introduction to your industry that you are currently in.
All right, all right. So, I'll take a step back here. And, typically, if you look at marketing function across various industries, I mean, you can divide it in a very, very classical manner and fashion, which is wherein you have brand marketing, you have trade marketing, and you have brand and communication. So this is how typically, I'm not saying that 100% of the organizations would be structured like this, but if you look at well-established brands, most of the brands would be working in this kind of a structure. When we come to media, media has a very, I would say, quite a complicated way of working as far as marketing is concerned. Because we all know that in media or in news media industry, you really don't have while I would say somebody would say that no, it is not true that you don't have a product, a tangible product to market. Having said that, for all of us who are there in news media, I think there is a very, very high level of impact and influence which marketeers create in this domain. Largely, organizations in media industry, what they do is that some of the organizations club it, some of the organizations keep it separate. But basically, it is about having people who can contribute in content, who can contribute in AFP, events, creating IPs, people who have a fair understanding of research, PR, and also, digital, because the amplification or the advertising of your program of your or your content actually is done best with the digital ecosystem as well. So most of the companies who operate in this news media space, they have people, one person probably at a CMO or a marketing head level, and down the line, different organizations have adopted different way. Some of the organizations are having spokes for each of their channel, and some of the organizations are working in a hybrid manner and fashion, which is adopted by me also, wherein there is a focus not only on the particular or the respective channel, but also in terms of what is the specific contribution, or what exactly is the talent coming from, whether the person who's a spock or a marketing manager for that particular channel, what he or she is really good at. So I'll move on to talking about Z media, wherein I created a very matrix and a hybrid kind of organization structure for marketing department when I joined 3 years back. Uh, what happened was that you need almost all the marketing talent to be deployed in each of your channel. Now, what happens is that it you just can't have a one man army doing everything for every channel, and that kind of germinated the idea of bringing people with different talents, and at the same time deploying them in each of the channel. So just to elaborate this, say we have 18 channels and I have a team of about 12 odd people. Now these 12 odd people have a primary responsibility of marketing, providing, and they are spots also for the respective channels that are which are assigned to them. But at the same time, for say, campaigns, for digital, for social, and also for events, IPs, branded content, AFPs, each of them actually brings a very particular, expertise, research, distribution. So what I have tried to do is make a kind of a matrix wherein each of them is contributing to the channel with their individual talent, as well as the generic marketing activities, which are more of a hygiene for the channel, which need to be done by the respective marketing manager.
Right. So see, Anindya, for example, I had marketing for Kangaroo Group, and you rightly said so, since the product itself is not tangible, right? So,
Yeah,
for example, for my any product oriented or any product based industry, so it could be FMCD, FMCG, automobile, um, apparel, footwear,
right,
even insurance, where there is some kind of tangible product the consumer gets. So
right,
there, the marketing is completely different, because we have. I'll typically tell you how marketing in FMCD kind of organization works, and you would be aware, but just I'll quickly summarize for the benefit of the audience. So we have a product in hand, we price it, we place it, and then we promote it through either campaigns on social media, or it could be OTT, or it could be billboards. And then we have the retail and distribution structure in place, where we go and check whether the category marketing is working well or not, or channel marketing is working well or not. Uh, and then we obviously we supplement it with exhibitions and events to raise that awareness, right?
that's correct.
Now, what I could gather from what you're talking about, marketing in media, is because the product is not tangible. There, your KPI, and that is what my next question is going to be. There, your KPI would be uh, to sell this inventory. First of all, to sell the inventory which you have. An inventory in your case would be the ad inventory, right? Whatever the ad space is there. So one, whatever I have gathered is, marketing in your case would be to gather the TRPs, to gather the AFPs, which is advertised based funding, for so bringing more and more advertisers on your channel, And then, so basically these two things, right? So everything which is to do with marketing will revolve around these two. So for example, if I were to draw a parallel, in a normal product based industry, our KPI is to maximize the revenue by selling the products. So
Right.
here in your case, the product is one is AFP, which is selling the inventory, and then obviously increasing the TRPs. So your marketing, now when you said, going back to the first question, that how is the marketing team structured, you said that there are 18 channels, you have 12 people who will be doing this activity for you. One, bringing in the advertisers, and two, working on the content along with the content creation team so that the TRP goes up. Did I summarize it well?
This is very close. This is very close, Happy. And in fact, there is more to it.
Okay. So when you say that there are 12 people, what is the typical? So I will again draw a parallel. So for example, my team or any product oriented team, we have structured like there is an NPD team, which is new product development. Then there is a category team which monitors how is the category or the product doing. Then we have e-commerce. We have a digital marketing team. We have a branding, events and exhibition team. And then we have a team which works on the brand. So very closely with the brand book, the brand ideology, who monitors everything is in place. And then we have PR and communication. So this is the ideal structure. How would you classify the work profile of these 12 people?
So, as I shared, while I was elaborating that how we are structured at Z Media, that the primary responsibility in terms of which you also kind of, mentioned, that in terms of ensuring that the brand share preference, the ADSV, the SOV, the PR stories, etc., or number of IPs, these are the typical KPIs for the linear business or the television business, which are like a hygiene thing, which are like a primary job for any marketing manager for any media organization. Now, what happens is that not everybody is going to be say extremely good at AFPs or branded content, right? They would be bringing some of their competencies which are very good. However, they may not be as good. So what I've tried to do is make it a collaborative structure which basically, kind of brings the best out of everyone in terms of contribution to marketing deliverable.
Right.
So I'll share an example with you. Say my flagship brand Z News. Now there is a marketing manager who takes care of Z News, and then there are two people, supporting him at an assistant manager level. Now what happens? This person has a very, very strong research and distribution background. So when it comes to giving a feedback in terms of, suppose our position is not coming as expected or our ADSV has gone, what is the root cause? So he is very quick at doing a RCA and coming back that, okay, we are not having a very good distribution in these geographies, and that is why it is resulting as a low viewership in this area. So reach has gone low. So we can very, very quickly, kind of plug in those gaps and, come back to our original desired position. But this person may not be as good as holding events. He may not be having a very strong background in terms of how to do an event for a media news organization. He would be having a fair idea, but he would not be an expert. But at the same time, a person who is taking care of my another channel, say Z Chobis Ganta. Now, this person comes with a similar background, similar experience, but by the virtue of his experience, he is an expert in events. So that is where we borrow his expertise to ensuring that even Z News event actually goes an impeccable and memorable event. So this is the point which I was trying to put across, that this is a collaborative kind of team structure that I have created with Z Media.
Right. So if I were to summarize again, so rather than giving events to one person, or rather than giving a whole responsibility of everything to do with a channel to one person,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
have done more like a vertical integration. So somebody is
Right.
good with events, so he will do events for, in that case, rather than that person does events for all the 18 channels, rather than that person manages that channel, he's doing events for all the channels. So you are
Right.
more to do with the functional competence of that person. But
Absolutely.
but other
Absolutely.
than your team, Anindya, so because this is a generic discussion, Normally, for a media kind of industry, event could be one line, revenue generation could be another line, then your on-ground activation could be a third line, your inventory management could be a fourth line, your content collaboration could be a fifth line. So around these verticals is where I would say, or I would suggest that that is how marketing team is structured, right?
Yeah, you complete your question, and I'll come back to you.
Yeah, so that is what I was trying to ask you. So in your case, you have structured it like that, but in normal media organization, a typical, this is how marketing team is structured vertically.
So in any of the media organization, revenue team and marketing team both are different. So marketing is only indirectly responsible for revenue generation. That's a revenue team, or in other organizations it is termed as a sales team. Is actually is a different vertical altogether, from field to the CRO level, which is termed as a chief revenue officer or the sales head, so as to say. So that vertical is working very closely with marketing. However, revenue responsibility lies exclusively with them. Marketing, yes, marketing works as an enabler. Marketing works as a lever. Marketing works as an influencer to ensure that salespeople become more successful. They are able to extract higher rates from the client and brand. Their marketing ensures there is a decent relationship which is with the agencies and brands indirectly. Revenue generation is not
The KPI of marketing.
deliverable or KPI of marketing department in any of the news organization.
In any of the organization, right? I mean, in my organization also, or in any product based organization also, it is not a KPI of marketing.
Correct.
But KPI of marketing would be to bring leads, which would be very similar in a media organization also.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is what I'm saying, that, while I can only, in a very succinct manner and fashion say that if you talk about the responsibility is to ensure brand share preference, that's more from a B2C perspective, or ATSP, which is basically average time is spent per viewer. How to ensure that, we keep on going giving the appropriate feedback to editorial team, to the content team, so that our engagement level remains high. How do we ensure that, from again B2C perspective, that our share of voice through advertising, through amplifications, through digital remains, so that each of the my TG is sensitized and is reminded of my brand. So PR stories, that whenever you are holding or whenever your channel has achieved something, how do you actually take it to PR, and you write stories about it. IP creation, again, it is sold by revenue team, but this is created by the marketing team.
So basically, uh, it always compels me to draw a parallel so that it becomes very clear to audience. One is brand share. Two is so for example, we have share of wallet. So you have share of voice. The other is then your TRP ratings. So we have something like an NPS score, Net Promoter Score.
Right.
It's a very parallel thing which keeps working,
Yes,
right?
yes. So this I talked about primarily because I'm taking care of the television and digital business both. The KPIs differ slightly in case of digital, wherein we are talking about the brand traffic is responsibility of marketing. The engagement is basically responsibility of marketing, that whether you have been able to give the right feedback, right inputs to editorial team, so that the right engagement matrix is in place. The DAO or the app installs, the video views, the comscore ranking is again a deliverable of marketing function, so as to ensure that like we are the second biggest network on comscore. How do we ensure that we keep on growing further and consolidate our position as well over there, because it's a highly competitive market?
So,
How do
so
we
I think, Anindya, with that, you have almost answered the third question, which was, what are some of your KPIs? So it will be great if you can just list them once again at
Mhm.
one place, because we spoke about them while conversing. If it will be great if you can list them, and uh, it will be my request if you can elaborate also. maybe one-liner definition, but let's not put it a jargon, because the audience who is listening, they should get an idea as to what we are talking about.
Yeah, sure. So when I'm saying brand share preference, how do you actually, what do you construe out of brand share preference is simply, in terms of, in a layman's language, market share. Now, your
Right.
market share basically depicts your brand share preference. The ATSV is basically how much of my TV channel is being viewed vis-a-vis a competition is ATSV, which is termed as a average time spent per viewer. SOV, which is share of voice, is like if your overall media advertising is 100%, what percent of that is you? PR stories, have you been able to successfully because media is one very piquant thing which I would like to actually mention over here. There is always going to be a big challenge as far as media PR is concerned. So what happens, especially the news media PR, because typically where do you do PR? You do PR in news media largely. So in case if you are already working in a news media organization, why would any other news media organization would be taking your story? So that becomes a bit of a challenge, wherein you have to ensure that how do you articulate your PR so that most of the media universe actually carries it.
Right, right.
IPs, when I'm saying, so IPs are, intellectual properties. So you have to keep on constantly innovating in terms of changing demands of clients so that you can create those IPs which not only contribute to your bottom line, but successfully it keeps on adding value to the brand also.
Great. I think very well captured. So, what do you think is a good marketing budget in your industry as a percentage of the revenue generated? Is it 1 to 5%? Is it 5 to 10%? Or is it more than 10%?
Typically, in media news industry, it's never beyond 5%. It is always 1 to 5% which news media organizations kind of spend. And the fundamental reason is that, as a brand, you are as it is available 24 by 7 on your television. On the television channel, you are already there. So the large amount of media spent actually goes other than television.
To maybe generate a buzz. So, let's say there is a new content or there is a new program you are launching. So,
Correct.
maybe to generate that buzz, you will have billboards or you will create some kind of sensation in paper, in media, in print media, maybe.
I cannot resist actually, to sharing. I don't know if you're aware about the program called DNA. DNA is India's, highest viewed news television program at prime time.
Yes.
So what we did is that we relaunched it about 4 months back. And I'm too tempted to share this, that when you talk about, because this would be the most appropriate example that how do news media goes about marketing their own program. So of course, we will have our captive network to TomTom. We will create small TVCs, which we internally call promos, which we will run across our network. We will have anchor mentions, we will have L bands, squeezes, stanzas, and everything which we can do on our own captive network. Now, apart from our own captive network, the only TV channels which would be available to us would be non-news television channel, because that would not be competition. So we will then selectively, the entire process of identifying TG and then identifying which are the channels wherein we can take this message for amplification. Apart from this, then, as you rightly said, then we go to identify the print, the digital, social, out of home, or any other innovative media which we deployed this time also in Mumbai, wherein we had almost 4.5 kilometer of main this link, sea link to Andheri, covered with 22 digital boards with almost 50% of SOV to relaunch this program. And I already mentioned about the PR, the print, the social and digital amplification over and above this.
Right, right. So, so we spoke about the structure, we spoke about the KPIs, we spoke about the budget. What are the main activities which you do in your current role as a marketing head? What are the main activities which you take care of, other than strategic guidance giving to your team?
See, yeah, so it's a very strategic role because as a marketing head, there is a business as usual, and then there is a lot of
Firefighting.
future business. No, firefighting is a part of the business as usual, but more from because the way the landscape of news media is changing, the way the consumption patterns are changing, the way consumers, or I would say viewers, or the audience is changing their habits, it becomes a very, 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 kind of a dynamic thing to always monitor and keep on changing the product value proposition also.
Yes.
One is
I
that,
think that's I was going to mention that it's a most challenging thing, with the attention span of consumers really low and the consumers being spoiled for choices across channels. I mean, there is an ad you skip. I mean, there are skippable options, right? And plus, with the smart TVs, we can record, we can move, we can skip. People don't want to see ads. Even as a consumer, I also don't want to see ads, so we keep skipping, right? So it becomes very, very difficult, one, to attract advertisers to make that kind of content which is sellable.
right, right, very true. So, apart from the generic marketing activities like, the developing the entire annual operating plan for marketing for the entire group, making the integrated marketing, plan for or rather the communication roadmap. As I said that, the product value proposition is very dynamic, and it is very dynamic in the sense that you have so many sectors, and because we are talking about sectoral marketing, it is very important that you need to develop those product value propositions in line with that sector. Otherwise, while your product may be an excellent product, as per the definition of a product, but until and unless it is not addressing the needs of that sector and that particular brand, it won't get through. And that makes one of my own job is to ensure that we keep on doing innovation in the product value proposition in line with clients expectation, and that too across sectors, across industries.
Right. So, Anindya, you said that so 1 to 5% is the majority of the or that's the typical spend on marketing. In
That
that, which is the biggest bucket? So we mentioned that there are KPIs which you need to fulfill, and there are different kind of activities. Which bucket takes majority of the or lion share out of this 1 to 5%? Which activity or which sub sector or which campaign or which part of marketing takes the lion's share?
So I would say we need to divide this, because all news media kind of divides is which is you know spending on internal assets and spending on external assets. End of the day, airtime has a value. So even if I am advertising my own ad, say on Z News, in a way I'm spending money. While I may not have to pay for it, but that airtime has value. So if you allocate a value, certain value to it, it will stand for some sort of a monetary value. So internally, yes, so major share actually goes in internal, you leveraging the internal assets. Externally, if you talk about uh, the split now has become, I would say, almost to 50% towards digital. And digital, when I'm saying digital ecosystem, the entire, whether it is social, whether it is YouTube, whether it is anything, it falls under the digital ambit. And balance actually goes to print and out of home.
Okay, great. Not much on on-ground activation. So clearly, the major share has gone towards the digital bit.
On ground activations are typically, not done for self, but for some other brand, or it could be a joint initiative.
But in the bargain, the media house also gets publicity, right? So let's
Yeah,
say, yeah,
automatically,
yeah,
automatically.
automatically, right, right. So, what are some of the top three campaigns in your marketing career which you would like to highlight? I mean, one, you mentioned the example of DNA, which in itself is an example. 4 kilometers of the Sea Link Road
Right.
advertised. I mean, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Any other two campaigns which you would like to highlight?
Mm, So, okay, I'll pick one from very early days, wherein I was instrumental, although I would not have been the lead to execute that campaign, but I was instrumental in terms of, kind of, not conceptualizing or ideating, but executing. So, when Shell launched their lubricants in Indian market, and they went from transition also, there was a brand transition initially when they launched. The name of their lubricants for diesel engine was Rotella, and then they migrated to Remula. Now, because Shell has a legacy in India, Shell has earlier worked in India by the name Burma Shell. So people were associated with the brand and people knew Rotella, but due to the global migration thing, this was being done. So this was a big challenge for marketeers in India also, because product was just made available for 3 4 years, and all of a sudden it had to be changed. That was the time around when I joined them also. So they brought in a campaign called Shell Remula Takat Hi Takat Ko Pehchane. I would say in this category, this was the first campaign which was based on the personality archetype. Uh, why I'm saying personality archetype? Because it was kind of evoking that,
That
power,
sentiment,
yeah, control. And if you look at who are the customers, truckers. Now, truckers are, typical, those male,
robust,
robust, they want masculinity,
masculine.
lot of machoism and all those. So they very smartly, the agency and the brand team, we sat down and we picked up. Okay, first of all, let us decide what are those virtues, because we cannot, we didn't have a very big marketing spend. So what could we do which actually cuts across the verticals within diesel? So within diesel, there are truckers and there are tractor owners, which typically, you drive the entire diesel engine oil category for any brand, not just for Shell. They are the primary consumers, I would say. And both of them actually could be addressed with this simple thing. Because if you would have talked about ROI, probably a driver is not bothered about the ROI, because he's just a driver. He's not the owner of that truck. For this tractor also, the primary thing is that, during the season, it should work efficiently, it should work, and they all want power. Most of the tractors are sold, very less tractors are sold with the on the premise of economy. Most of them are sold in power. I mean, the first thing that a tractor owner actually, when he goes to buy a tractor, is asked how many bhp. So these were some of the virtues. We did research, we did couple of FGDs, and what we identified across the India, where we identified there is a common thread across India for truckers and for truck owners, is the this thing is power. And that's where we associated that Shell Remula, and we, in a very subtle manner, we said takat hi takat ko pehchane. So it's like a poking also, that in case if you are powerful, then only you are going to own this product or buy this product. So it was quite a successful. We did TVCs, we did very heavy on ground, we did a lot of BTL activations across this in the key geographies, key truckers geographies, and key agri markets across India. So this is one of the memorable campaign for me. One, because those were my formative years as a marketeer,
Mhm.
and I got an opportunity to work in this campaign is very close to my heart.
Sure, thanks, Anindya. And with this, we come to an end of section one of this episode. We will soon be coming up with the second section. Do stay tuned in. Thank you.
Thank you.